screen?
Yes, Tabeer.
جميل. طيب بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تمسك بسنته بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد, after praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and sending the salutations upon the Messenger alayhi salatu wassalam, upon his family and his companions, and upon all those who follow upon his guidance into the establishment of the last day. To proceed, ikhwan, Allahumma inna na'udhu bika min ilmin la yanfa' wa min qalbin la yakhsha' wa min nafsin la tashba' wa min du'a'in la yusma'. Verily, Ya Allah, we seek refuge with you from knowledge that has no benefit, and from a heart that has no fear, and from a soul that has no satisfaction or contentment, and from a dua that goes unanswered, To proceed, ikhwan, فنواصل معكم في هذا البرنامج المبارك في هذه الليلة المباركة الكريمة عونا من الرحيم. So we continue in this program, this series of lessons, whereas we're studying from the program that is taught at the University of Muhammad ibn Saud, rahimahullah ta'ala. So we seek Allah's aid and assistance in this blessed overnight. عندما نتعلم شيئا ما من اللغة العربية, as we continue to learn and educate ourselves from the science of the Arabic language. طيب. فللواجب هذه الليلة, tonight's homework يا إخوان, الرابع. طيب والخامس, homework for tonight is going to be exercise 4 and 5. قال بسم الرحمن الرحيم استخدم كل كلمة من الكلمات الآتية في جملة مفيدة. So he says, use each word from the following words in a beneficial sentence. فعندنا الآن 4 كلمات. So now we have 4 words. We want every student to take each word وأن تكون بها جملة مفيدة, and to make a beneficial sentence with each word. طيب والخامس, and the 5th exercise for homework also. كيف يستقبلون في بلدك عيد الفطر. So you're going to write one paragraph in Arabic to the best of our abilities. And you're going to describe how do the Muslims celebrate Eid al-Fitr in your country. فنحن في أمريكا كلنا, so all of us are in America. فنكتب شيئا ما عن كيفية استقبال المسلمين عيد الفطر. So all of us are in America. So we're going to write a paragraph describing how the Muslims celebrate Eid al-Fitr in our country. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. So 2 things for homework, inshallah ta'ala. 4 sentences only, and then a paragraph writing in Arabic. What do the Muslims do in your country on Eid al-Fitr? No. طيب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قراءة جديدة, a new reading. رمضان والعمرة. The month of Ramadan and the small Hajj, the Umrah, the small Hajj. فعندنا كثير من الكلمات الجديدة. So we have a lot of new words in this lesson. So we'll take a few inshallah. وبقيتها من القراءة. So we'll take a few of the lesson, a few of the vocabulary, and then we'll take the remaining of the vocab in the reading. طيب شيخ نكير اقرأ الكلمات. Read the words.
قصر يقصر.
طيب الأولى first word يا إخوان. قصر يقصر. قصر يقصر. To make something short. يقصر. قصر يقصر. To make something short. To make something short. To make something short. قصر يقصر. To make something short. To trim, to cut something, to trim something short. To make something short. 25 times each. قصر يقصر. طيب الثانية second word.
محرم.
طيب the muhrim is the one that is in the ihram. When you make umrah or hajj, you put on the ihram, that white cloth, that's called the ihram. The muhrim is the one that is doing the ihram, the one that is putting on the ihram. Muhrim.
Sir,
تفضل.
now I have to step away from the phone real fast. Give you that.
طيب لا بس تفضل. Muhrim is the one that is wearing the ihram. The ihram is the clothing, the sacred clothing for the religious activities or celebrations or ceremonies of Hajj and Umrah. So the ihram is that white cloth that you wear during the Hajj, during the Umrah, the small or lesser Hajj. The one who is doing that is called the muhrim. طيب. التي بعدها next word. طيب طاف يطوف. طيب طاف is to go around, make circumambulations, go in a circular motion, to go around in a circular form. طاف يطوف. Circumambulations. Here, the intent is when you're making the circumambulations around the Kaaba. You're going around the Kaaba. This is, you're going around it in a circular method. This is طاف يطوف. In Yemen, after the Fajr. You see a lot of the students of knowledge there, when they review the Quran or whatever book they're going over, you see them standing up and they review them. They walk as if they're walking around the Kaaba. It appears so they won't get tired. Our sister says M-A-M-B. Shukran. What did I write? C-M-A-C-U-M-V. Right, Shukran. A-M-B. Compilation. Hakada? No.
Okay, you after the B.
Shukran.
Circumambulation.
Barakallahu fikum. So some of the students and the scholars there, instead of sitting down making maraja'ah or review or hifl, they stand up, I guess, to stay energized, not to stay tired, not to be sluggish. So they walk while they're reviewing. Allahu Akbar. First time I saw that was in Yemen. طيب التي بعد next word. تفضل. طيب. So the verb is طاف يطوف. The masdar is tawaf. So the verb is طاف. The noun that is derived from this verb is tawaf. Tawaf. These are the circumambulations that you're making. They're called tawaf. No. Tawaf. It doesn't have to be around the Kaaba, but here it's talking about around the Kaaba. Tawaf. And the phrases we're going to deal with today, inshallah ta'ala. He says, at-ta'birat, some phrases. Taqabbal Allahu, may Allah accept it. Wafaqaka Allahu, tamarrarna bihadha. We already learned that one already. We passed by that already. May Allah make you successful. And ma'a salama. Ma'a salama. Taqabbal Allah, may Allah accept it. Ma'a salama is with peace. Either al-abdu yusafir, someone is traveling, for example, and you make dua for them. Taqabbal Allahu, may Allah accept it. May Allah accept, meaning whatever the action is. Taqabbal Allahu. You can add to it, Taqabbal Allahu ibadataka, may Allah accept your worship. Taqabbal Allahu sadaqataka, may Allah accept your sadaqah. Whatever you want to add, or you can make it general. Ma'a salama is not in place of Salamu Alaikum. Many Arabs, they use it outside of its context. It's a dua, na'am. ولكن لا يقام ولا يقال في محل التسليم لا والسلام لا. It's a dua, yes, but it should not take the place of assalamu alaikum. طيب مع السلامة. Someone is traveling, you say مع السلامة, may you travel with peace. What's implied is may you travel. Oh, it's with peace. What's implied is may you travel if you're traveling. No. but it's not in place of the salam. You shouldn't see a Muslim and say ma'a salama. No, you say assalamu alaikum. But then after that, someone is traveling who yusafiru mathalan fatad'u la, and you make dua for him or her, and you say ma'a salama, with peace, meaning may you travel with peace. No. طيب. طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هذا الحوار بين إسماعيل وأحمد. This dialogue is between Ismail and Ahmed. طيب. اقرأي سكينة. You read the first sentence. وعليكم السلام. Good. أحسنتي. So now Ismail is يتكلم إلى أحمد. He's talking to Ahmed. So he says to Ahmed, لقد حدثتني عن الصيام. Surely, verily, you have narrated to me, you have spoken to me about fasting. فحدثني عن العمرة. So, narrate to me, talk to me, inform me about Umrah. So the first benefit, ya ikhwan, laqad. The word is laqad. You can say qad or you can say laqad. You can say qad and you can say laqad. The meaning doesn't change, but laqad is more emphasized. Verily, surely, indeed, laqad. Shows emphasis. Laqad is actually a double emphasis. I don't know if you can say that in English. You can have a double emphasis. But now,
So, what's the difference between laqad and inna then? Because the inna means between just two, very.
طيب, our sister's asking the difference between qad and inna. طيب, there's a difference in the wording. For example, inna, and then you have qad. طيب, the translation in English is going to be the same. You say verily, surely, indeed, because in English you don't really have a lot of words of emphasis. In Arabic you do. So the type of words are different. They both are harf, but they're translated the same, but they're actually different types of words. Inna is harfu ta'kid. Inna is actually a particle that is used for emphasis only. That's all inna is for. Harfu at-ta'kid. That's inna. At-ta'kid. But qad, it can be used for emphasis, but it's not a particle of emphasis. If that's clear. It's translated to be verily, surely, indeed. Yes. But the type of word qad is not a particle of emphasis. That's not the name of that type of word. Inna, yes. Inna is a particle of emphasis. Yes. But qad is not. Qad has a whole, there's a lot of ways you can use qad. One of them is like inna. So they can be used the same from one angle. Inna is always used for ta'keed. That's it. Inna is emphasis, emphasis, emphasis. But qad can be used like that and other than that. For example, qad قد قامت الصلاة. All right, look at qad here. قد قامت الصلاة. In English, you would say, verily, surely, indeed. Yes, in English. English is not that strong. But qad here is not harfu ta'keed. It's not a particle of emphasis. No. Qad here, although it's used like it's a particle of emphasis, is not that type of word. Here would be harfu at-tahqiq. At-tahqiq. It's a particle that shows that something actually took place. So the differences in general, although they're translated the same, they're different types of words. Right? Where's my Alia? How would you want my spellers? How would you spell actualization?
A-C-T-U-A. A-C-T.
A-C-T-U-A.
U-A. L-I. C-I-C-H-I-O.
It's a particle of huh? Z-A-T-I-O-N. So it can be translated the same, but just because something can be translated the same in one language doesn't mean it's the same type of word. So in English, they both can be inna. Inna is always going to be verily, surely, indeed. Qad, sometimes, right, we'll make a little chart, inshallah, make it easier. Inna is always going to be one thing. Inna is always going to be verily, surely, indeed. In almost every example. That's all she can be. That's it. But qad is more broad, is more vast. Qad can be verily. Qad can also be a verb. Qad can also be a noun. In is always going to be a particle. Qad can also be enough as a verb. No. Qad can be a noun. You can say, for example, you're someone's house, you're a guest. They say, Turidu mazidan, would you want some more? And you say, Qadani, Qadani. You can use it like this. You can say, no, no, Qadani, Qadani. What you gave me is sufficient for me. It's enough for me. Here's a verb. Whatever they gave you, you say, Qadani, Qadani. That's enough for me. That's enough for me. Like that. It can also mean something is about to happen. And it can also mean something already happened. Our sister says حرف تحقيق جاء مع فعل الماضي هل هذا لكل حروف التحقيق أو قد فقط. طيب قد, she's asking, when it comes to قد, if it's the تحقيق, it's going to fall on the past tense verb because it's showing that it actually happened. So almost every تحقيق is going to show on something that already took place. So the answer is going to be yes. It's going to fall on the past tense because it actually happened. قد can also be حرف حرف تقريب. نعم. قد can also be حرف التقريب, meaning it didn't happen, but it's about to happen. Inshallah. So this is a small difference. Article of closeness. It's about to happen. Say we're about to have class, and the brother says, did y'all start yet? And you say, قد نبدأ. You say, قد نبدأ. The brother says, did y'all start yet? And you say, لا لا قد نبدأ. No, we're about to start. So here, it didn't take place yet. Here, it's about to take place. So that's a small difference. And that shows once again the details of Arabic. A word can be translated the same, but it doesn't mean they're the same type of words. That's a benefit, ikhwan. In Arabic, you can say, what's another example? There are many. You can say, anta, you. And then you can say, iyaka, you. Two different words. You. Two different words. Okay. So all of that was for the question of our sister Sakina. May Allah bless you all. Let's return back to the lesson, inshallah. Our sister says a ta'keed. Ta'keed is different. Ta'keed can fall on a noun. It can fall in front of a verb, and it's going to do something to the noun. Qad is not going to do anything as far as grammatically. Inna is going to make the noun that comes after it mansub. So it has some grammatical structure too. Qad doesn't. And we'll get to qad inshallah later. May Allah bless you. So she says, laqad, verily, was really a double emphasis. Like surely, surely, if you can say that in English. Can you have a double emphasis? Allahu alam, in English. In Arabic, you can. No. Sometimes Arabic agrees with English. Most times it opposes it. Most times it opposes it. So he says, haddathani. Haddatha means to narrate or to speak. Haddathta, you narrated. Haddathani, you narrated to me. Haddathani, someone told you something. Haddathani, You're talking to someone. حدثت. This ta is anta. حدثت. You narrated to me. No. Allahu Akbar. That ta is anta. You talking to someone narrated to me. حدثتني. Masculine. Feminine. حدثتني. You narrated. If you're talking to a female. حدثتني. You, woman, you female. You narrated to me. عن الصيام. About fasting. An is about or concerning. عن الصيام. عن about. عن الصيام. فحدثني. Now is in the command form. Now you want to command someone to talk. You will say حدث. If someone is not talking, you want to command them to talk. You say حدث. Talk. Speak. Open your mouth. حدث. Wife is ignoring you. You're in the doghouse for something you probably didn't do. At any rate, تتكلم إليها وهي لا تجيب. So you're talking, she's not. So you say حدثي. حدثي. Talk. It's a command. Or the woman is in a doghouse, probably for something she didn't do, and the man is ignoring her. So she says حدث. حدث. Talk. So this is the command. Talk or narrate. حدث. So you want to say talk to me becomes حدثني. حدثني becomes talk to me or narrate to me. MashaAllah. حدثني or narrate to me. All right. Next sentence. Return. Father Sheikh Nakir. Abu Zubair has had to step away. طيب أنت الثالثة. You read the third one. Good. طيب. So now تعلمنا بعض هذه الكلمات. We learned most of these words now. We'll take only the new words inshallah. طيب. حبط means to land, to descend. حبط. طيب لا بأس because our sisters knew. لا بأس. طيب. نعم اسمع. He says yes. Listen. MashaAllah. That's a good point here, Juan. May Allah reward Ahmed here. Because sometimes when you're talking to someone, and I'm not talking about no gender. I know the women are going to get offended, or maybe the brothers will get offended. I'm not talking about no gender. It happens both ways. This is not something that is exclusive for the men. It's not something that's exclusive for the women. So if we talk about the men, we have to talk about the women here too. Or if we talk about the women, we have to talk about the men here too. because this action is shared. If it's something that's specific for the women, then we can say women do it. If it's something that's specific for men, you can say men do it. No problem. That's fine. No one's going to get offended. If a sister says men do this and some men have done that, men can't be offended. That's true. Alhamdulillah. And if a man says women do that and some women have done that in history, a woman can't be offended. That's the truth if it happened. But this example, men do it and women do it. Allahu a'lam man yaf'aluhu akthar. And only Allah knows who actually does it more. طيب. أحيانا الحوار يقع. Sometimes a dialogue is taking place. ولكن أحدهما لا يسمع إلى الآخر أو كلاهما لا يسمعان بعضهم بعضا. Sometimes a conversation is going on and one of them is not listening to the other. That happens. Or both of them are talking, but they're not listening to each other. And this happens a lot, ya ikhwan. The wife is talking, and as soon as she's done, the man rebuttals. As soon as she's done, no thought, no consideration, no concern. As soon as she stops her mouth or closes her mouth, rather, his mouth opens. No thought, no concern. Likewise, a man, as soon as he stops, period, mouth closes, her mouth opens. Usually, not all the time, usually. No consideration, no thought. So it's humbling that Ahmed said, yes, listen. Before he spoke, he said, listen. Because sometimes, in conversations, the person you're talking to is not listening. They're just waiting for their chance to talk. And this is, however, it goes like this often. It shouldn't be like that. Sometimes your wife is right. You just have to listen. And sometimes the wife is wrong. And sometimes the husband is right. The wife has to listen. Sometimes he's wrong. Sometimes both parties are right from their angles. Alhamdulillah. Sometimes they both are wrong from their angles. But the point is, ikhwan, alayna an nukthira fi al-istima'. But we have to increase in listening to each other. So this is humbling, as Ahmed said here. May Allah preserve Ahmed in this story. He says, Na'am, isma'. He says, yes, I'll narrate to you about Umrah. Listen. Because many of us, we don't listen, ikhwan. We're just waiting for what? For you to shut up and stop talking so I can talk. And that's why we argue a lot, even as Muslims. We argue a lot. We differ a lot. No one apologizes. No one takes any consideration. No one cares anymore. No. The goal should not be who's right or who's wrong. The goal should be what's right and what's wrong. Let's continue, ikhwan. So he says, Na'am, isma'. Listen. Allahu Akbar. Habatat at-ta'iratu fi Jeddah. He says the airplane landed in Jeddah. So he's narrating to Ismail everything that took place. He's telling him about Umrah. وَقَدْ لَبِسْتُ. And there's qad again. And surely, verily, this, whatever he's about to say now, actually happened. Tahqiq. وَقَدْ لَبِسْتُ. Verily, I wore thiyab al-ihram, the clothing of ihram. So that's new. So we'll write that down. Thiyabu al-ihram, the clothing of ihram. It's called thiyabu al-ihram. Al-ihram. Thiyabu al-ihram, the clothing of ihram. You can say of sacredness. The clothing worn for the religious ceremonies of Hajj and Umrah, of Hajj and Umrah. Umrah is the lesser Hajj. What you wear here is called al-ihram. Is really what you wear is called the clothing of ihram. The ihram really is something that is sacred, like takbiratul ihram, the sacred Allahu Akbar, meaning now the salah has begun. When you put on the thiyab al-ihram, now the umrah has begun. You've made your intentions, you put on the dress, the thiyab al-ihram, the clothing of ihram. So now you're about to embark on the religious ceremonies of Hajj or Umrah. He says, طيب, whose turn? فضي أبا زبير.
I'll tell you. اتجهت إلى موقف السيارة.
Ahsant. He says, and then I went. Ittajaha means to go. And then I went to the mawqif, the place of the cars. That could be a parking lot. The place where the cars are gathered there. It could be taxis. It can be Ubers nowadays. If there's a place that the taxis park at, this is the mawqif al-sayarat, the place or the station of cars. Ittajaha means to go. Ittajaha. It should be a ha. Ittajaha. To go. Can also mean to go towards. Can also mean to face. Ittajahtu. I went, or I turned towards, or I went towards, or I faced. It can mean any of those. Here means I went. Where did it go? إلى موقف السيارات, to the place of cars. It could be taxis, Ubers. Nowadays Ubers, which are taxis, organized taxis. We used to call them hacks in Philly. When you get off the train, they say, hack man. Alhamdulillah. Now he may say Uberman. Oh, yeah. Whose turn? Sakina, تفضلي. سيارتي أجرة. So she says now, أبالحافلة ذهبت? Did you go by bus, or rather, by bus did you go, or by taxi? طيب. الحافلة is the bus. ذهبت تعلمنا بالسيارة الأجرة. طيب. So the first word here is the حرف الاستفهام. Particle of asking. The you can say you can say hal. You can say both of them. Usually it's with questions that have a yes or no answer. But now the tricky part here, they use is usually used when there's a choice. It's a conjunction. It's the same type of word as the wow, thumma, aw, طيب. But the is usually used when there's a choice. But pay attention here, ya ikhwan. There's two ways you can do it. The author did one. You can mention the verb twice. Or you can mention it once because is a conjunction. So it's going to join the sentences together so you don't have to mention it twice. So for example, you say Ismuka Naimun Ismuka Aliyun. We mentioned the verb, then we mentioned the noun twice. So we're going to show you both ways. Ismuka, Ismuka. We mentioned them twice. Ismuka Naimun. Or we should say Ismuka Ali. Is your name Naim or is your name Ali? So we mentioned your name twice. Is your name Naim or is your name Ali? Now we're going to take away the second Ismuka because you don't have to use it. Because is a conjunction. So it's going to join the second part with the first. So you don't have to reuse it. You can, but you don't have to. So we say Ismuka Naimun Aliyun. So it's like I said Ismuka twice, although I said it once because it's a conjunction. Ismuka Naimun Ali. So you would say, is your name Naim or is your name Ali? That's what's implied. Because the is a conjunction. So it's going to connect the second part with the first. So it's like this Ismuka is there. It's implied. Hold on.
The other one, ow.
Naam.
The other one. Like, owl back up.
Naam. Same, they mean the same, but sometimes they're used differently. Is usually used when there's a choice. Ow can be used with the choice or not. But usually with the choice between two things or three things, you're going to use They both mean ow. They both mean or. You can say ow or The meaning is the same as our sister mentioned in the beginning regarding qad and inna. The translation can be the same or, and they're the same type of words. They're harf al-ataf. They are conjunctions. But is usually used with choices. For whatever reason, the Arab, they had choices. Like here, they would say They wouldn't say Ismuka Naimun or Ismuka Ali. That's allowed. That's grammatically correct. But they would normally use for whatever reason regarding choices. So here in our sentence, if you notice, ذكر مرة واحدة فقط. The author only used ذهب once, because you don't have to say it again. You can. He could have said بالحافلة ذهبت بالسيارة الأجرة ذهبت. No problem. But you don't have to, because is a conjunction. So it's going to join them together. So it means, did you go by bus or did you go by taxi? It's going to join the second part with the first part. Right? Sayyaratul Ujra is taxi. A car that you pay a wage to get transported to a certain place is a taxi. Technically, any car of wage, you give me a ride to the masjid and you charge me, so you're a taxi for that moment. We say Uber now, but taxi. Uber is a taxi. Right? Unless you get a free Uber, then it's not a taxi. Unless you get a free taxi, then it's not a taxi at that moment. Still a taxi, but at that moment, since he was free, it wasn't a taxi. So the benefit is usually used with choices. And you don't have to always say the entire thing. You can say it this way. That's a complete way, but you don't have to. Someone says to you, hal, sorry, this should be Arabic. Someone says, hal akalta. Did you eat? If you ate, what's the most complete way to answer? If you ate. Who knows? If you ate, what's the most complete way? Na'am akaltu. Ahsanti. You will say, yes, akaltu. Yes, I ate. It's the most complete way. Na'am, yes, akaltu. Yes, I ate. Oh yeah, that's the most complete way. Remember, you don't always ليس دائما وأبدا عليك أن تجيب في الكلام الكامل. لا. Remember, you don't always have to answer completely. You can, but it's not a condition. So you could say here, Na'am. Yes. Now, although you said yes, what this implies is, yes, I ate. So you don't always have to speak in complete sentences. You can use what's implied. Same thing in English. Did you eat, Yahi? Not yes. Meaning, yes, I ate. Are you Muslim? Yes. Meaning, yes, I am Muslim. This rule agrees with English. You don't always have to speak in the most complete manner. You can, but what I want you to understand, Ikhwan, is that's not a condition. So this is an example of speaking using what's implied. بالحافلة ذهبت? Did you go by bus? بالسيارة الأجرة? Or by car, meaning by taxi. Meaning, did you go by taxi? So although he mentioned the verb once, the second time is implied. نعم أكلت. نعم. وهذا صحيح. أحسن. هذا مفهوم يا إخوان? Everyone's that. جميلا. طيب. Whose turn? للقراءة. Sheikh Nakir, تفضل, your turn. Good. أحسنت. الحرمة. So he says ذهبت بحافلة النقل الجماعي. So he says I went by bus that's carrying like a group of people, like a tour bus or a coach bus, a bus that has a lot of people, jama'i, that is carrying a nice amount of people, not like a private bus where it's just him and another bus. No, بالنقل جماعي, a bus that could be like a tour bus, it could be a coach bus, like the Greyhound buses. That'll be a perfect example. Those Chinese buses we have in Philadelphia, that's a حافلة النقل الجماعي. That's a bus that transports a gathering of people. Tour bus. No. He says حتى وصلت الحرم, until I reached the haram. The haram here is talking about the Kaaba. The haram is another name for the Kaaba. The haram. No. طيب حسين تفضل يا أبا زبير. أحسنت. So he says, from which door? From which door did you enter? طيب. Now أيُّ is also used when you have choices too. أيُّ. It's really أيٌّ, which can be which. أيٌّ. But it's usually used when you have choices. For example, تريد أن تشتري كتابا. You want to buy a book. أنت في المكتبة. You're in a bookstore. فتقول أي كتاب أفضل. So you say to the owner, أي كتاب أفضل. So you say to the owner, which book is better? Here you would say أي, because you have choices. And أي is مضاف, and the word that comes after it is مضاف إليه. Which book is better? Now I'll give you a benefit, Ikhwan, that you barely hear, except from the scholars and the people, the students of the Arabic language. إذا الاسم الذي جاء بعد أي مفرد استخدم أي. إذا الاسم الذي جاء بعد أي مذكر استخدم أي. إذا يكون مؤنثا استخدم أية. طيب. If the noun that comes after أي is masculine, then you use أي. But if the noun that comes after أي is feminine, then you use the feminine أي, which is أية. So say I want to say something feminine. أي سيارة أسرع. Which car is faster? Now I will use the feminine أي. أية. أية سيارة أسرع. Which car is faster? I use ayatu because the noun that comes after it was feminine. So use the feminine ayu. Same meaning, but one is masculine, one is feminine. So if ayu is preceded by harf jar, it takes the same rules as any other noun. So he says min ayu la. Now it was going ayyi because min is harf jar. So you're going to say min ayyi. From which? From which door? No. Okay. So there's no harf jar ayu. It was preceded by harf jar min ayyi. Min ayyi. No harf jar ayyu. Harf jar min ayyi. You deal with it like it's any other noun. Oh, yeah. So you usually use ayu when you can choose. Some of the brothers, they say mal yawmu hadha, what day is this? And maybe we'll do some research in English which one is grammatically correct. Is it more correct to say which day is it in English or what day is it in English? Allah alam. We'll see which one is grammatically more correct. In Arabic though, ayu is better. So you wouldn't say ma yawmin hadha or ma al-yawmu hadha. No. Arab, he knows what you're trying to say, but he may giggle a little. Mal yawmu hadha. What's more correct is ayyul yawmu or ayyu yawmin or ayyul yawmi hadha. That's more correct. Which day is this? Arabic, anyway. Ayyu yawmi hadha. The first one we hear a lot from many of the students, mal yawmu hadha, but instead of using ma, they should use ayyu because you have a choice. You have 7 choices. So the Arab usually use ayyu yawmin hadha. What day is this? Or rather, which day is this? So ayyu is usually used when you have choices. And the last benefit we'll share, there's another word called a. Not AU, but a. This is a whole different word. A. This means, it means. Or meaning. You're reading the books of Tafsir, and then the author says, he mentions a sentence, and then he says, A, he says, Rabbul Alameen. This should be Alaf Lam. Rabbul Alameen. And then he says A Mutarabbi. Al-Makhluq. For example. He says Rabbul Alameen, and then he says A, meaning the nurturer, the creator of the creation. So this word A, a different type of word. It's a harmful tafsir. It's a particle that you're going to explain something afterwards. That's different than AU. One is A, one is AU. Two different meanings. Wallahu alam. So tonight you have two parts of homework, ya ikhwan. And I want you to complete the reading that we began. So we began from here, Ismail with Ahmed. You're going to finish the reading. Just read it. If you make a mistake, read it again. Read that sentence again. We can always increase our reading. So you're going to read this whole passage, just one page. Just read it. And then the first two exercises from the beginning of the chapter, 4 sentences or 4 words. You're going to find a sentence for each. And then you're going to write a paragraph for how does the Muslims celebrate the Eid in your country. What do they do? They go out. They may visit their parents. MashaAllah. They go to the masjid. We usually go to the parks. So you're going to write it. Practice your writing. All right, so we'll stop there, Juan. Let's check our questions on the YouTube. Anyone there? All right, la bas no. Alhamdulillah. طيب نكتفي بهذا. We'll stop there يا إخوان. أنا أصبت فمن الله وأن أخطأت فمن نفسي. Anything we said is correct is from Allah. Anything we said that's incorrect is from ourselves. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.